Hi guys, this is Mike with Coffee Cup Christianity, where we are getting jacked for Jesus. And today we're going to start our new series called Tough Questions. And so we're going to get right into it. Okay, so the first tough question we're going to tackle today is, why has Christianity done so much harm? So we all know that in history, Christianity has maybe done some things that might not be the best. We look at the Crusades, we look at the Spanish Inquisition, we look at the Salem witch trials, and if you want to be a little bit more recent, within the last 50 to 100 years or 200 years, how Christianity has tried to rationalize slavery and treatment of certain groups of people. And so I just want to kind of address, like, what does that mean? What does it mean to be Christian? What does it mean? What does Christianity mean? And so I want to kind of address those things today. See, the God that the Bible talks about and the Jesus that the Bible talks about is one that's filled with love, okay? And so this may seem like a simple answer, but it's really, it really is. It's not a complex problem here. God, Jesus are all about love, and part of love is freedom. If you love someone, you have to give them freedom. You guys know that old, if you love her, you gotta let her go. Just like our kids, right? We love our kids and we let them make their own choices, right? That's part of love, is giving someone the freedom to choose to return that love. And so if you have the freedom to choose to return love, you can choose to be good, you can choose to love, but that also gives you the freedom to choose the opposite, which unfortunately is evil and hate. So now to answer the question is, well, what about when Christians, kill people in the name of God, like with the Crusades and those and the witch trials and things like that? Well, I would argue that just doing something in someone's name doesn't make them responsible for it. And so, I couldn't go up and punch somebody and say, oh, that's from Tom, because that Tom's not going to get in trouble. I'm the one that's punching somebody, right? So God, the same way, we can't hold God responsible for our free will, because remember, God's loving and he wants us to choose him. And if we can choose him, that means we can also not choose him. I would also argue that everything that God wills is good. And so if we're acting in concert with God's will, then we are doing good. But if we choose to not act in God's will, as in we choose to do something contrary to what God has told us to do or given us or reminded us of in the Bible, then we're not acting in God's will. We're not acting in concert with him. We're now acting in contravention, in an opposite, which means we're acting in a spirit of hate and evil. And so it's important to remember that Christianity, the Christian organization, the Christian church, is not the same as being a Christian. In fact, a building can't be a Christian. A Christian means a follower of Christ. It's all about the relationship with Jesus. And a building can't have a relationship. An organization can't have a relationship. So a Christian person is a different thing than Christianity around the world. And so I would say that if someone is a genuine follower of Jesus Christ, their life is different and they act in concert with God. And because they're acting in concert with God, that means that because God's will is good, therefore they're acting in good will, God's will, right? And so they are acting in concert with God and they will do good things. And so you may be asking, okay, well, how do I act in concert with God? Like, what makes me a follower of Christ? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to give you probably one of my favorite verses in the Bible that just kind of really puts it into perspective and explains it. That if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So it's really that simple. If you confess with your mouth, believe with your heart, that's it. And once you do that, there's a change. You change on the inside and you become visible from the outside. That change becomes visible. We project that out. We are then acting in concert with God, with His will, and therefore what we do is always going to be good. When we decide to not act in concert with God, and it will happen, then those things are not good. And we just have to, like a compass, we have to reorient ourselves back to God and to act in concert with Him. So take that, and I hope you are getting just as jacked as I am.